service truck. Borrowed Tina's ride. And I can verify that if you hit that vertical pedal on the right, this EcoBoost, it don't play. All-wheel drive. Make these Michelins, man, they feel like I'm on rails. Woo! It's wild when you're, I'm used to driving something that weighs 12,000 pounds, so this is a different deal. But anyways, look, here's what's cracking. I did a job, built some handrails about 6 weeks ago. I did video of the whole thing. The one thing about this job is that the customer is installing the handrails himself. And I've got video that shows how the handrails fit and that they do fit. But the guy's so busy, it's been 6 weeks and he still hadn't got them installed. So I'm kind of at a boggle because I was holding this video, actually waiting to get to the point where I could get some video of the handrails in place, and I can't. I've been holding all this video in my phone all this time. I don't have a tremendous amount of storage. I'm gonna have to edit the video and upload it without video of the finally installed handrails in their place. It's the way it is, guys. I'm sorry. Maybe we'll get back to it at some point, but I don't have time to. I drove over there to see if they were installed, and they weren't. And I thought, well, I'll get some video and get this done, and they're still not installed. And I just know that dude, he's so busy that he just hasn't had time to put them in, to put the handrails in, and I can't wait no more. I need to 6 weeks behind on getting the video edited and posted. That's as far behind as I want to be on it. So here we go. Hey y'all, CB here, the No BS Welder here at NBS Welding. I want to thank you for coming to visit. Gonna be building some handrails, and this will be a good opportunity to talk about some different ideas about building handrails, maybe how to lay them out on the table. These handrails are going in an apartment building where there's some sloped concrete. Measured the slope of that concrete, and in that situation, we're going to be wanting to make our handrails where our posts are going to be plumb, and our top bar of our handrail will follow the slope of that concrete. So we can talk a little bit about how I'm going to go about doing that. I picked up some pipe, supposed to have it delivered, and it didn't get delivered on the day it was supposed to come. So I contacted a different supplier and ended up going and picking it up. Let's get this truck unloaded and get to work. So there's lots of different ways to establish what the angle is when you're doing a handrail. Sometimes it's a ramp, like we're dealing with in this situation where concrete is poured and it's not that steep. Other times, it could be a set of steps, and you may want to lay out the steps because your posts, it may matter the way that your posts land on particular steps. In this situation, we got an apartment building that's got 2 concrete walkways. There's some handrails that are already there that they want to use. and they've just found out that there's 2 places where they need to add a handrail. Where we're going to be adding these handrails, what the contractor that I'm working for, what he's decided to do is leave the concrete alone and dig beside the concrete to make holes for the handrail posts. And he'll make holes for the handrail posts. I'm going to build the handrails. He'll set them in them holes, and he's just going to pour concrete around the posts, basically beside the concrete ramp that's already there. Now, there's other things that could be done there as far as like, it's common when there's concrete existing, in a lot of situations, you would core drill. Like maybe with this, we're going to be using 1 1/4 pipe, which is a 1 5/8 or a 1 11/16 OD pipe. You might core drill a 2.5 inch or 3 inch hole in your concrete, and then set your posts in that, and then just fill that with hydraulic cement. And it's a good idea when you do that to try to mound up the hydraulic cement a little bit higher than the level of the concrete. That helps keep the posts from rotting off, because that's what always happens to them. If you don't mound up some hydraulic cement around the top of the post, or concrete a ramp at the top of the post, water's just going to lay there and rot the post off faster than it would, because the water lays there if there's a low spot where you core drilled. But I want to show you the little kit that I took with me and the way that I measured this slope. When I went out there, just imagine this was the sloped concrete. I took this Bostitch 8-foot level that I've got with me, and I took a bag full of wood shims. Now, a lot of cases, I know there's a million different angle finders that people like to use. I don't like to use the angle finders. I like to use, I like to get my angles in measurements. I have better luck with measurements than I do degrees, and a lot of the degree squares and things you get are so small. If you got a degree square that's only 4 inches long, and you're setting it right here and you're reading and you're saying that's 32 degrees, what's that really telling you about this ramp that's maybe 16 feet long, But the way I went about doing it, I set this 8-foot level on that ramp in a couple of different spots. I used wood shims to get the 8-foot level, and then I'd come down here to the end, and I'd take a measurement from the concrete to the bottom of that level. Well, see, when I was doing that, I'm getting a measurement that is telling me a much bigger picture on a bigger span than if I was just setting some kind of a degree square down there or whatever. You could put an angle finder. There's some that are gravity operated angle finders that you set on there, and that might get you close enough. There's also, you could use just a regular protractor with maybe put a torpedo level on it and get the one arm perfectly plumb, and that would tell you the degrees. But like I said, I like to do stuff with the measurements. And one of the things that will help you when you're trying to figure out angles on a handrail or something like this is you just bear in mind the one thing you need to know is what's level. And when you know what's level, 90 degrees from level is going to be plumb. This technique that I'm using, the way I'm going to mark this out on the table, where I can just take my level and make contact with a line, and then 8 feet away, move the end of the level, the distance that I measured, away from that line. And the line is going to be the angle, and the level is going to be level. That means 90 degrees from that level is plumb. So if you're thoroughly confused right now, stay tuned and it'll make sense here in a little bit. I took a piece of 3x2 angle iron and I put it up here at the edge of my table. And that's going to give me a place to, this is where I'll be clamping the top rail of the handrails. And I've got my level up there, and you can see with this is the exact 8-foot level I used to get my measurement, and I've got it making contact with this straight edge right there. Then you take a look down here. My notes say that the angle in 8 foot was 6 3/16. So from this straight edge to the level, I've got my 6 3/16. So what that means is this is level. This is on the angle of the concrete. And 90 degrees from level would be plumb. So with that T-square against here, I can make a line and that'll represent the first post. Now there's another thing that's critical about these handrails, and it doesn't have to be critical like to the 1/8 of an inch, but one of the things is that on both of these handrails, where they're going down the ramp, there is already another handrail on the other side of the ramp. So theoretically, what you would want to try to do is get your post distance the same. You know, so you don't have a post and a post. You know, you want the same, relatively close to the same distance between the posts as the handrail that's already there, you know, to try to make it look like it was all done at one time. So I do have measurements from the first post to the second post, from the second post to the third post, and, you know, that way. So that's another part of what we're going to be trying to do to make this right, is we're going to be trying to make the posts in the new handrail straight across the walkway from the posts that are existing. I'll get this first post marked, and then we'll be putting some other marks here to see where we need to build the second post and all of that. So what I just did, and what I'm hoping that you've seen, is that when we had the level up there representing level, we used the T-square to make a line that was 90 degrees from level, which means this line is plumb. If you have your first post following this line and your top rail following that straight edge of angle iron right there, then you're going to have a post that's plumb. Now, the next thing is the very first post, or the second post rather, is going to be 75.5 inches center to center from the first post. So I make that mark at 75.5 inches. Also, I used the T-square. I hope you saw I used the T-square by just setting it against here and making a mark at the bottom of the square. Now, how far that is doesn't matter as much as it being exactly the same when I come over here and do it. So however far the T-square marked from being against the straight edge to right here, that distance is the same from there to here and there to here, there to there. Next thing is coming down to that mark and going 75.5 inches over this direction. And that gave me this intersection right here. Now, when I make a line from this intersection to the 75.5 inch mark right there, where I measured from here, 75.5, and then I make a line from that intersection to the 75.5 inch mark, then this line, this second post now is on the exact same angle as the first. The next thing is going to be getting our angle cut for this first post and top rail. And what I've done right here, we're dealing with this 1.25 inch pipe, which pipe is sized by the inside diameter. So 1.25 inch pipe it's about 1 5/8 inches outside diameter. So I've drawn in the pipe. You know, I've went 1 5/8 inches down, and I've made my marks so that I have 1 5/8 inches pipe drawn in where there's an intersection of the top rail and the first post. So then the next thing, if I go from corner to corner, that would be my miter angle, and then I'm going to use my bevel square, and I'm going to get that angle. Then I'm going to come over to the 872 chop saw and use the bevel square to set the saw angle. And that's going to tell me how to make my cuts. Got another little goof on my part. Getting set up here, I realized that the distance between the top rail and the intermediate rail on the handrails that are existing there is something that I'm going to have to know to match that also. Generally, it would be halfway, but since there's handrails already there and I don't know if it's halfway, I'm gonna have to run over there and measure that. And that kind of brings up something I guess I want to mention. I know I get comments on the channel where there's a lot of people commenting saying that, you know, they're just getting into the welding business, or they're just getting into business and they appreciate my content because it's giving them ideas and stuff. And I'm going to touch on something that I think's been a great idea for me that's not really welding related, but more or less life related. I said earlier that I couldn't get this pipe delivered the day that I thought it was coming. So I canceled that order and I drove to another place and got the pipe. Now, that worked out because I drove to Morgantown and got this pipe, and I wanted to go to Morgantown anyway because I wanted to go to Cabela's. And actually, our Cabela's in Morgantown is a Bass Pro Shops, but Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's is combined now. But I needed to go to get a tool that I wanted to get ready for this fall, and I'll show you that real quick. Got the Excalibur Micro Extreme crossbow, and this is what I went to, and I got a target, so I'll get this thing zeroed in, and this will help put some meat in the freezer this winter. But the reason I'm mentioning this, you know, generally you see somebody with something like that and you think, oh, you can't hide money. Look, I ain't got no money. The reason I'm mentioning this, I bought that on my Cabela's Club points. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that when we get rolling. And that'll be time on the road that we can at least be getting something done, because I'll explain that to you. Alright then, we're rolling in the super service truck. We'll go get them measurements. It's a shame that I didn't measure that when I was there, but hey, my bad. I'll take care of it. I won't charge the customer for the time. But want to talk about the Cabela's Club points. If you don't know how that works with a Cabela's Club credit card, I have a Cabela's credit card and I have had it for decades. Whenever you make purchases on your Cabela's credit card, you get points, Cabela's bucks. You get points that you can use to buy merchandise from Cabela's, and since Cabela's and Bass Pro have merged, you can use those points at a Bass Pro shops as well. The reason that this has been a big thing for me is because in these last few decades that I've been in business, you know, when you're operating a business, you're purchasing things. You're putting fuel in the truck. You're putting tires on the truck. You're buying motor oil for the truck. You're buying things at the welding supply store. You're purchasing steel. You're purchasing pipe fittings. Virtually all of these things that you're buying are things that you're going to be charging the customer for. You know, if I buy some steel to do a job, I'm charging the customer for that steel. Yeah, I got to spend some money, but overall, in the end, it's not my money. However, I am spending it. So this thing that I've done for years and years, decades literally, is I purchase all of this stuff on my Cabela's Club card. So I run up points. You know, I've run up points extremely fast back in the days when, you know, it's not as fast now because I don't buy as much stuff as I used to, but, you know, back in the day when I was welding for the drilling industry, you know, in like 2017, my gross for the year was $478,000, and it was common in that year for me to have charged $20,000 or $30,000 a month on my credit card, and I got Cabela's points for all that. However, it wasn't like I was rich enough that I was spending that money. I was buying pipe, buying steel, buying fuel, buying tires, buying things for the business that I would, in a roundabout way, be charging the customer for. Now, $478,000 in a year, that's not a common year for what I was doing. You know, my normal year would be about $250,000 gross. And, you know, you're going to have a considerable amount of that money that's money you got to spend. Now, the way guys often did it, you know, other people that were in the business I was in, buddies of mine, they get to making that money and they go out and buy their wife a new Tahoe, they buy a brand new boat, a couple of jet skis, build a new house. They borrowing all this money. Then the oil field slows down and they're in a hell of a jam. You can't do that. And when you get a credit card and do what I'm talking about doing to get Cabela's points by using other people's money, you got to pay that card off. The reason that they're able to do this is because most people don't pay the card off. Most people get behind on the payments and they end up, in a big jam paying 18 or 19% interest on the money they owe. And the companies make money doing that. But if you get a Cabela's Club card and you do all your purchasing with it, and you get Cabela's points for every dollar you spend, and you pay that bill off when it comes every month, not only are you getting the Cabela's points, but if you dedicate that card to your business, it's a little bit easier to track the business that you're doing because all your business is on that one card. At the end of the month, that's what it cost you. Now, over the years, you'd be shocked, but that crossbow I just went and picked up was $900. I got that for free on my Cabela's Club points. I've bought an M&P 15 AR-15 rifle, an M&P 40 semi-automatic pistol, North American Arms 22 Magnum, and North American Arms 22 long rifle. I've probably forgot all the stuff in the last 20 years that I've got for free because of these Cabela's points, and I still run into guys that say, "Oh, I ain't using no credit card. I cash or carry." Hey, I love cash. Hey, I take cash anytime I can get it. But when you're able to charge on a credit card and get some kind of a credit that you can use, as far as I'm concerned, you're downright foolish for not doing that. Now, if you're not into the Cabela's or Bass Pro kind of a thing, that's fine. Maybe you like to travel. Well, you can get a credit card that gives you airplane miles or something for if you want to travel. Credit cards, they always offer something as an incentive to use their card, and you just need to find out whatever it is that you could use. For me, I want as much hunting and fishing gear, guns and ammo. That's the kind of stuff that I get, and honestly, especially now, my income has dropped so much since I stopped chasing drilling rigs. There's no way I could afford something like that crossbow. I don't make that kind of money anymore to be going out and spending $900 on something like that. I mean, the way it is now, I just get by. But, I'm just telling you that the Cabela's thing has been a way that it's an extra benefit if you're in business, especially where you're spending money. You're literally getting credit for spending other people's money, and that has been something that's helped me in more ways than just the Cabela's Club card. Another thing in my life, I was 19 years old when I bought my first house. I was 21 when I bought my second house. I bought my third house when I was 23 or 24. I bought the commercial building that we're in right now, probably around 03 or 2004. I've bought property. Now, the houses that I've bought, financed all of them, borrowed all the money to buy them houses. But I put tenants in them and rented those houses out. When I rented the house, I took the rent that the tenant gave me and I paid the mortgage on the house. There again, I didn't have the extra money struggling in business to be able to afford to go buy houses. I borrowed the money and then I made the payments with somebody else's money. Well, here I am turning 50 years old this year. I got 3 houses and I don't owe a dime on none of them. And for a considerable amount of those payments that got made by tenants that were renting the property. Now, one thing I did do, I did sell the very first house that I bought. It wasn't the greatest rental that I ever had. It was out in the country. It was in central Virginia, and it was too far away and too far out in the country. And when I sold that house, considering that I had rented it out long enough that it was paid for, that gave me a boost of money that I was able to use to pay off the other mortgages I had. But you young guys, I'm just telling you, use your head. You're not going to make big money. You're not going to make big money welding no matter how you do it. If you do this, it's because you love it. You're not going to make any kind of millions and millions of dollars just being a one-man show as a welder, running a welding truck. You're not going to get rich, but you're going to have an honest life that's cool. And if you could just think about what the hell you're doing, and don't be one of these guys that runs out here the second you're making big money and buy a brand new vehicle and build a brand new house and, you know, buy 2 or 3 jet skis and a new boat and all this stuff. When you're making some money, save a few of them nickels for when you're not making so much money. The rug can get pulled out from underneath of you real fast. And when you're financing, I'm trying to say, there's absolutely nothing wrong with financing stuff. You gotta borrow money. You got to. Borrow money to buy a house. Borrow money to buy some tools. Borrow money to buy a truck. There's nothing wrong with any of that. But you ain't gotta borrow money to go buy a brand new camper, a brand new boat, a brand new side-by-side. If you got to borrow money to buy stuff like that, you better be thinking about the fact of, can you really afford it, you know? Or is the money that you got coming in that sustainable, that you're sure that you can, you know, make the payments on that stuff? Just a few ideas for the young guys. We're going to go get these measurements. We'll get back to the shop. We're here where the handrails are, and since I'm not installing these, I guess it's good that I come over here, because the first time I came over, I didn't shoot any video, and I should probably shoot some video in case we don't come back. Y'all could see what we're looking at. This is one of them right here. Here on this side, what's happened is, they found out they need a handrail in here. So that's what's going on, is they've already got it on the outside, and we've got to build one that goes on the inside. So this handrail, even though this one's 2-inch pipe, the one on the other side is 1 1/4 pipe, and we're going to do 1 1/4 on all of it. So there's going to be one right here, and it's going to come up, and then there's a little 33-inch section that turns 90 degrees. So that's on one side of the building, and we've pretty much got a pretty similar situation on the other side of the building. It's a same thing as far as having a concrete ramp, and there's a handrail on one side. We sort of need to match, and this is what it looks like. So there's going to be another one, you know, that just runs from here to there. And another thing he's having me do is I'm going to bring a piece of pipe and a plate with holes drilled in it, and they've done Bondo or something, or concrete. I don't know how they fixed that post, but he wants me to replace that with a piece of pipe and a plate with holes in it, and he's just going to redhead that down. But the handrail we're making here is just going to run And you can see why I was saying that, you know, we want pretty close to the same measurement between the posts so it, you know, they don't look too wonky there. So that's what's up. Kind of glad since I didn't shoot video here before that I ended up coming back, because like I said, I'm not installing these. The customer's going to be installing them, so that at least gives you guys a chance to see where they're going to go. Now we're back with that measurement, knowing where that intermediate bar goes. Went ahead and put together what I would call a first panel, and we're going to be able to do this in sections, in panels like this, particularly on this handrail, because the distance between the first post and second post is the same as the distance between the second post and the third post. They're all the same down through there. So where I've set up my jig, you know, I tacked some angle iron clips on here on my line. That's holding that post at the angle it needs to be, and the same thing right here. So what's going to happen, I'm going to go ahead and weld this section of it up, lift it up, shift it over, set it down, and build another section, and then we'll just keep repeating that. So that's what we're at. This is where we're at, just moving on down the road like I was talking about, and come out real good on the end. And I did stop on this post and put a cope straight across there. And we can see more about that later, but that has to do with that level section that's going to be coming off the 33-inch piece that's going to be coming off 90 degrees from this. I'm going to go ahead and flip this over because I need to weld the other side, and I'll go ahead and do that before we go any farther. Fabricating with pipe, obviously you run into having to cope it. You know, these cope fits are something that you just deal with on pipe. And obviously, you know, you can make handrails out of square tubing. You don't have to cope it. The square tubing costs more. The material costs more. Square tubing is more expensive than pipe. The labor on the pipe's a little cheaper. Obviously, since there's pipe handrails where these are going. So, you know, it would only make sense to go ahead and use pipe so that you know, it's all pipe and not half square tubing and half pipe. Now, there's a bunch of different ways, different jigs to cope pipe. There are coping jigs for pipe that use like a hole saw type of a cutter. And then there's in shops where I've worked years ago where we did a lot of pipe railings. There's shears. There's shears that'll just, you pop, 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 hit a foot pedal and cope your pipe. A shop like mine, I don't need either one of those things. I don't do enough of it to justify having that stuff in the way when I don't need it. It's part of, develop the skill to cope this little pipe with a grinder in a relatively short period of time, so that you don't need tools around that you're not going to use every day. A shop like mine, a tool like a grinder that I can use for so many different things, that's the kind of stuff I want around. I need tools that multitask. I don't need a pipe coping jig that I'm going to use 3 times a year. That's ridiculous for me. I do too much of a diverse amount of work to have specialty tools that focus on stuff that I don't do that much. Looking at what we're looking at right here, this pipe gets a 3-way cope because of the way that it's going to fit in. See, there's 3 sides of this that gets coped. So I've already got it with a grinder. And another thing, this pipe like this that I'm going to MIG weld with 035 wire, it ain't got to fit that great. If you're putting together a race car and you got to TIG that stuff, you really need tight fits. Actually, on race cars and airplanes, the fitter, like one good fitter, had a shop teacher, I heard him say years ago, one good fitter's worth a whole shop full of welders. And in certain cases, that's true. Like I say, on aviation, airplanes, or race cars, your tubes in those cases should fit almost to where it would hold water before you weld it. You really should fit it that good. Wouldn't be necessary for what we're doing. Even if I got 3/16 gaps here and there on what I'm doing, that MIG's going to MIG weld that right up and you're never going to know the difference. But one trick I use, if you look at that dark blue line on that pipe, that's the seam. That's the welded seam in this pipe. And try to get a shot of that. You look on the inside there, you can actually see where that pipe is welded together. But that blue line here on the outside, that's always straight. So that's a way that I can use to help me cope this and get these copes lined up with one another. Because there's that blue line there. See, if I've made copes straight across from each other here, when I go to the other end, that blue line will tell me where to do the other cope. That one's put together and I'm going to get it out of here. I ran around mostly on these edges with the sander. I did run the sander a little bit on a few other places, just like where I have some welding spatter or whatever, but I'm not grinding the welds off. That'll paint up just fine. And mostly the corner, like where I got a miter like this, I sanded. But I think I'm just gonna back the trailer in here with the forklift and probably throw this on the trailer. Get this one out of here, and then we can get to work on the other one. So this second handrail, it's 3 1/4 inch on the 3 1/4 inch out of level. The ramp is, on the 8-foot level. And I'm just going to try to film laying it out as a means to maybe show you how I'm doing it. Way these posts are, got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 posts. The first post, from the first post to the second post, is the 51 3/4. And so that would be the distance between here and here. Now, from the second post to the third post, and from the third post to the fourth post, right here I had 48 3/4 center to center and 48 1/2 center to center. So what I've done here is I've got it 48 5/8 from here to here. That's going to split the difference good enough that I can use the 48 5/8 for the second to third and the third to fourth. Now, from the first post to the second post, this 51 3/4 that I've got, I'll be putting that together, welding it up as a panel. And then when I move it, I'll be knocking those clips off, and we'll be done with them, get them out of the way. So the first one will be from the first post to the second post to 51 3/4. Then we'll do 48 5/8, 48 5/8, and I think what we're left with is going to be like about 29 or 30 inches at the end, just to make up the whole length of 178. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3. There's going to be 4 posts that are put where they're going to be put, because they have to be there to be parallel with the handrail that's already on the other side of that walkway. And then the last post just needs to be there to make the end. That'll be the end of the handrail. here at NBS Welding. We're in the break room doing a quick merch video. For any of you that are interested in merchandise to help support the channel, we got the stickers. Small size sticker, like a hard hat size, $3. Got the bull logo, NBS Welding, got the name and phone number. The medium size, $5. And then the big bumper sticker, $10. Now, there's no shipping on the stickers. We can put these in an envelope. It's pretty simple, no problem. Next thing is the shirts. We did have some trouble with the shirt order. We just got proof that they fixed the problem they had, and they sent us the proof. So this is, they got it right where the NBS Welding logo is on the chest, then the great big NBS Welding on the back, with the American flag on the sleeve, the way we like it. $25 for an NBS Welding shirt. These will be here, supposed to be here September 5th, so we're taking orders. Got a couple orders already. Wayne and Mike, you guys, you're going to be getting your shirt. It's coming. Next thing I want to talk about the cup. My buddy tried to make these cups, and I wanted the QR code on the cup, and he couldn't figure out how to make it work. He made me cups. The QR code wouldn't scan. He said he didn't. He finally gave up. He wanted to give me my money back. I said, no, not all of it. We're going to share the responsibility. Anyway, he gave me a portion of my money back. I gave him enough money to cover what he spent, but I continued to work on it, and I got it worked out. I don't think my cups are as nice as his, but they work. And here's the thing. The QR code's got to be on the top where it's flat. If it's on the radius on the side of the cup, it's not going to scan. It's got to be on the top. I figured it out. But we got the cups. NBS Welding with the bull logo. Got less yakking, more tacking. Pretty simple cup. But like I said, I made this myself. I bought the cups and the materials. I put it together. Had to make it work. I didn't want to quit on it. Now I want to talk about this real quick because this something come up. A way for that you can give to the channel is through Super Thanks, through YouTube. And our guy Corey has given $100 Super Thanks repeatedly. And I keep thinking like, man, this Corey has contributed so much. I really want to do something to thank him, and I couldn't think of what I could afford to do. And I remembered these coins. Now, I had these coins made when I was making good money working in the oil field. And what this is this is 1 troy ounce of 0.999 fine silver. It says NBS Welding. It's got the name and phone number and the designation 0.999 fine silver. So this is an ounce of pure silver. And if you turn it over, it's got the bull logo on the back. This coin, I'm sending this to Corey to thank him for all the super thanks that he's given. There's one thing that is, there's two things about super thanks. It's super easy for you guys to contribute to a YouTube channel through super thanks because you can go on your device and you can hit super thanks and boom, it's quick. It's easy for you to do. The problem with super thanks is YouTube gets 30% of that money. So out of a $10 super thanks, you're giving YouTube $3. But it's kind of like that with the merch too. If a shirt's $25, we have to buy the shirt. So I have to put money in, you know, there's money going somewhere. Anyway, this idea came up to give Corey a coin. And it's got a real nice little plastic case I'll show you. I just put it back in the case. That keeps them from getting fingerprints all over it. Here's the thing. When I got the idea that I was going to give Corey the coin, I wanted to offer it to everyone. So if you're interested in a coin,
$50. Send Tina an email. nbswelding@aol.com. And thank y'all.